And I will put it on full screen. All right, we're good to go. What is up, everybody? I'm Michael here, and today I'm with Bertrand. Is that right? Bertrand?
That's how you say it, brother.
All right, from the Geek Abides channel, and we are movie people, so we're going to talk some movies today. How you doing, Rob?
I'm doing excellent, man. How are you doing?
Fantastic. I am excited to talk to you. So let's just get right into it. Let's start with the basic stuff. So you're from the Geek Abides channel. I'm really curious, because this was the first thing I thought of when I saw your channel. Where'd that name come from?
I'm a huge fan of The Big Lebowski, and I'm a huge fan of movies in general.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of liked that mashup, and so it just kind of came to me one night when I was trying to think up a name.
Okay. Fair enough. That's honestly fair enough. Okay, so you run it not solely by yourself, but are you the head of the crew that you run it with, or is it?
I'm what you would call probably the main producer. So I'm the main driving force behind the site and the YouTube channel and the Facebook, Twitter. And then I have a group of people that just love entertainment as well. And they'll come in and do like one-off video reviews for me. And sometimes we'll get a panel together and talk about just whatever movie is popular at the time.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So when did you guys start this up, or when did you start this up, I should say?
It's funny that you asked that. It was actually 1 year ago today.
Oh, no kidding. So I got you at the right time. So it's perfect.
Yeah,
okay.
It's perfect. It was so weird.
Crazy.
I got on Facebook today and it gave me that reunion message.
Oh,
wow. How funny is that?
Oh, that's crazy. Okay, so exactly 1 year ago today. And you're doing pretty well off. I've seen your channel. You guys make good stuff. You guys are very high quality, and you're on a roll right now. So
thanks,
good on you. Good on you. Let's just start with stuff this year. What are any standout films that you've seen this year?
Well, man, I was really, really loving The Shallows recently. That's the last movie I saw. Well, I guess I just saw BFG. But I'm a huge Jaws fan, probably one of my all-time top 10 movies.
Okay.
And it's very rare that you get a really decent, well-acted, well-produced shark film.
No kidding.
That movie was amazing.
I agree. The cinematography is what really stood out. The shots of the ocean, the top-down view, was freaking beautiful. It's so amazing. Haven't seen anything quite like that in a while. So
totally agree. I'm also looking forward. There's another shark movie coming out with Nicolas Cage.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's tells the story of the men and women of the USS Indianapolis, which, if you've seen Jaws, you'll remember that's the story that Quint tells on the board, the Orca, and how he survived that shark attack. Looking forward to that.
Is that like a straight to DVD? Because I know Nicolas Cage does a lot of that, or is that actually coming to theaters? It's a valid question.
You would think it's going straight to DVD,
but it's not.
This one's going to hit the theater. This is a big budget one. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. I haven't seen him do anything since Left Behind. Have you seen that one?
No, I typically try to stay away from Nicolas Cage.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. His stuff has not been of quality in a long, long time.
And how can you go wrong recently with like Captain America Civil War?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Cool. Definitely my top film of the year, by far.
I was also a huge fan of The Conjuring 2. Have you seen that one?
Oh yeah, Conjuring 2 was really interesting because they took it to a whole new place, and I don't know how much of it is true, obviously, but it's quite crazy. What happens in it is quite crazy. The scenes with the nun. Yeah. Oh my gosh, the whole scene with the painting stuck with me, still with me.
I'm the type of geek that once I see a movie like that, I have to completely research it. And so you'll find on YouTube some documentaries about the actual case. So it's based on the case, but it's loosely based on.
I'm sure all these movies are loosely based. You know that that new Mike and Dave movie is supposed to be based on a true story.
The one where they need wedding dates.
Yeah.
It looks pretty fun.
Yeah, it looks funny, but I cannot imagine like how that could even possibly happen. Obviously it's probably way over the top, way dramatized, but who knows? Did you get a chance to see Cloverfield earlier in the year, 10 Cloverfield Lane?
I did see that. Actually, I didn't see it in the theater because I can't make them to the mall. But I just recently checked it out on Amazon Prime, and I really like it. Like, I'm a big John Goodman fan.
Same. Okay.
And I was a fan of the original Cloverfield, but I wasn't expecting much from this flick. And I liked it up until the ending, and then it just kind of...
It goes a whole different place. Yeah.
But I enjoyed it for what it was.
it's a different kind of film. You watch the trailer, it doesn't really give away much, you know. And then when you watch the movie, it's like you're in a whole nother it's a whole nother thing. It doesn't really have much to do with the first one.
It's like a dual movie. It's like you go and see it and you're like, oh, that's cool. And it had an interesting ending. But if you're a fan of the original and you know that it has Cloverfield ties, then it's like a whole different experience.
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely. So let's just go back a little bit.
Okay.
What got you big into film?
Well, I'd have to say I've been a film fan since I was about 5 years old. When you grow up in the 80s, there wasn't a whole lot to do if it was raining outside. So
I'm sure.
I was lucky enough to have a grandfather that was a wizard with electronics.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually created this chip that he could put inside a cable box that allowed me and my mom to have all the cable channels. So I grew up having all like HBO and Cinemax and shows.
So you got everything.
I had everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really where my passion began, because I came from a single mom, and so my babysitter a lot of the times was HBO. So that's where the passion began. And then I grew up and I got heavily into acting, and I've had a pretty decent acting career. Mm-hmm. Learned a lot about video production, and it just everything led to this for me.
No
I don't know about you. I was in a dead-end job working for the cable company. How funny is that?
Yeah, ironic.
how my passion started with cable. I ended up working
for a cable company. Yeah, no kidding.
And dude, I was just hating life. I didn't like the job. I didn't get treated very well there, and I just wanted to chase my dreams.
Yeah.
So I met a man named Stephen Schomler, who is a big advocate of bootstrapping your way to a better life. And he convinced me it's never going to be a better time. Just jump in with both feet. So I put in my 2-week notice, and here I am a year later.
You got right to it, and you're doing great.
Thank you, man.
Well, good on you. I mean, is there one specific film that you can pinpoint, though? One or two?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, 5th grade was a pretty pivotal year for me. I stayed home from school sick one day, and like I said, was getting babysat by HBO. Mm-hmm. Was just flipping through the channels and discovered a little movie called Empire of the Sun. Starred a young Christian Bale, John Malkovich, blink and you miss cameo by Ben Stiller.
Oh, really?
And, it was like the one film that just spoke to my soul, if that makes any sense. Because,
oh, yeah, I totally get that.
I was a young kid about the same age when I saw it, and it was just about this young kid who goes or gets split up from his parents during World War II in Shanghai. He gets put into a internment camp, and it's just about how he lives and survives. And it just really related to that. I don't know why. That's my favorite movie of all time.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah, some people don't like to talk about that. Some people can't pinpoint an exact favorite movie, you know?
That was it. That was the one movie that sparked my imagination.
Yeah.
There's one scene in the movie that I can pinpoint to, like, that's when my heart exploded.
That was the moment.
It was when Christian Bale first gets to the internment camp, and he's walking through this airport, and he sees this Japanese fighter, and he goes up to it, and it's like in silhouette, and he puts his hand up to it. There's all these sparks in the background. Mm-hmm. I was just like in awe. That John Williams score hit, and I was just like,
you can't go wrong with John Williams.
Do with my life.
Yeah. For me, was the big movie for me, got me totally into all this, was Fight Club.
Okay.
Which I'm sure you've seen. It's not
I've seen it.
I mean, it's not per se relatable, but it's more like it really opens your mind up to like society and, you know, the nicks and knacks of how things goes. It's really interesting. I don't know. Just really hit me, you know, like I was probably like, the first time I saw it was probably like 9. I probably didn't understand like half of it, but it interested me. So then I caught it again like 2 years later and bought on Blu-ray.
That movie was so unique. Like I had never seen
anything
like it.
Yeah, there is nothing like David Fincher making a movie.
Absolutely, 100% agree.
And
that was written by a Portland author too. That's what
no kidding.
I'm excited. Yeah, because I was born and raised basically in Portland, Oregon, and to see like somebody from Portland write something like that and then have it hit so big, it was just like, hooray!
Yeah.
And then, you know, now we have Portlandia, and that's kind of
yeah, that's the new hit thing. Do you enjoy Portlandia?
I don't enjoy it. No, I think it pokes fun at Portland instead of with Portland. And so I don't tend to watch it too much.
I'm not a fan of it. To me, it kind of just seems counterintuitive, like you're saying. It kind of seems mean-spirited in a way, you know?
Yeah, I just never floated my boat, man. I just couldn't get into it.
Mm-hmm. So with the recent influx, right, with remakes and reboots and sequels to movies that we don't need, like Independence Day, which I saw your review for, and I feel
that's a hurt, dude.
I feel almost on par with you on that. You want to talk about that a little bit? Because I laughed for about 5 minutes at that video. It was hilarious.
Oh man, I was a huge fan of the original. And I understand the original is not like a classic masterpiece. Mm-hmm. It's just a fun popcorn flick.
Oh yeah.
And I saw it at a time in my life where I was like newly 18 years old, 19 years old, had all this newfound freedom. You know, I just moved out of mom's house, and it's like, this is America. And gung-ho, full of bravado. And then I saw that movie, and I was like, yay, America. And then going into this, now I'm pushing 40 years old. I've got a family of my own.
Times have changed, and you're not.
Times have changed, and it's like the movie didn't. It was just garbage.
Yeah, I could not agree with you more. The shameless China plugs that they had in there, which were ridiculous.
You picked up on those too?
I kind of picked up on it because this girl, Angela Baby, who's the lead Chinese fighter pilot.
Okay.
She's been in a lot of stuff recently, right? A lot of stuff that's been making money for China. She was in the Hitman movie.
Okay.
And she was in a couple more big movies before that. And then when I saw her on this, I was kind of like, okay, they're kind of pushing for it. But what really got to me was when Liam Hemsworth, he was using this weird machine, and this Chinese brand of milk came out. You see that? And I was like, okay, this is definitely pandering a bit. And I mean, it really wasn't good. I was honestly shocked.
I understand the need for it, and I mean that's a huge
definitely. Yeah.
And it's not something you should really complain about, I guess. But it was just so blatantly obvious this time.
It's just as bad as the Transformers 4 Bud Light sponsorship that they had, where Mark Wahlberg crashed into a Bud Light truck and he picks one up and he's like, "It's good for you," stuff like that. It's just kind of pushing a bit,
That's the day and age we live in, though.
Yeah. So how do you feel? Have you seen any good remakes or reboots, in your opinion?
For every, I wrote an article about this.
Oh, really? Okay.
And my feeling is, for every, 5 bad reboots we get, they'll sneak in one really good one. Mm-hmm. I can't really think of anything that really comes to mind. Maybe Star Wars Episode 7? Because technically that kind of
yeah.
Really great reboots, you're talking The Thing. What do you think? Is there anyone that jumps out to you?
It's not a great movie. It's not even a good movie. It's just a fun movie. The newer RoboCop movie.
I didn't mind that.
Yeah, it was honestly just
so much hate, but I didn't mind.
Yeah, neither did I. It was just a fun kind of. I watched it in the theater. It was kind of a whatever thing, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't as bad as people were making out to be. Definitely not.
Well, I'm a big fan of Joel Kinnaman too. He's going to come in Suicide Squad.
As am I. So I love Joel Kinnaman. He is amazing. You're honestly the first person I've ever heard reference Joel Kinnaman in a positive way.
He's great. I watched him on The Killing.
I haven't started that yet. It's been on my list for forever.
Dude, if you like Joel Kinnaman, you got to check him out in The Killing. He is one of the best parts about it.
Oh, I'm sure. He's an interesting actor because he's been trying different stuff. He's been in so many different movies, but he's never really the main guy until RoboCop, and then they put him behind a mask.
I was bummed that didn't do as well as it should have. I really thought it was a smart update, and I really liked the fact that they kind of focused on the whole drone side of things. It's so popular in the news nowadays.
Oh yeah.
It's just just didn't hit.
But the act had a huge cast. They put a lot of money behind that movie, and they're supposed to make a sequel, but I don't know where that's going right now. I don't know if it's dead in the water or what.
Breath.
I'm hoping for it.
Get Ghostbusters rebooted.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I didn't grow up with Ghostbusters, but I can imagine how it'd feel. For someone that did, it doesn't bode well, to be honest with you.
I am the quintessential Ghostbusters fan. I saw it in 2nd grade.
Oh man, so you're the audience.
I was in 2nd grade, and that movie was so important to me. It's the first movie I went home and be okay, I want to play as these guys. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna be Venkman, you be Ray, and so that movie always stuck with me growing up. I'd even hand built a proton pack with my bare hands.
No kidding. No kidding.
I'm a huge geek, man.
So,
uh,
are you hesitant going in? Are you going to watch it first of all? Because I know some people are boycotting it or whatever, trying to avoid it.
No, I won't boycott it. I will go see it. I'll go in with an open mind.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about this as I was watching the BFG, because the BFG audience was probably 80% children, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just kind of watching them watch the movie, and man, their eyes lit up. They were so excited. And I think Ghostbusters, the reboot, is going to be kind of the same. It's not for me. It wasn't made for me.
Yeah.
But my daughter, on the other hand, who's 13, she's really excited. So I guess geeks have to get over the fact that, okay, not every movie is meant for you, and we can take these reboots and spin them in a different way and have them be for different people and still enjoy the same old movie from '84. That's not a problem.
Yeah. So I noticed your shirt, the Batman shirt. So I'm interested to ask you how you felt about Batman vs. Superman.
Oh man, I hated Batman versus Superman.
Okay.
I ripped it to shreds in my review. Like, I tore it up. But I just watched the unrated directors.
And how was that? I'm interested to know about that. How was that?
I have to say, my whole feeling on it is somewhat changing. Like, I'm still trying to figure out how I feel. But it's a much better movie. It makes way more sense, and I actually really enjoyed it.
I'm sure. Because I'm not a huge comic book guy. I used to read SpiderMan comic books growing up, and mostly Marvel stuff. I didn't really get too much into Batman until the Nolan movies. But then when I'm going into this, right, I went with, let's just say, like around 8 or 9 friends. 7 out of 8 of us didn't know what was going on for the first, half of that movie.
Yeah.
So, and you kind of pan around the theater and you look, right, and everyone has like kind of the same blank expression, like, what the hell is going on right now? It was just a clusterfuck. There's no better way to put it. There's no better way to put it, honestly.
You could tell too, because DC went into immediate damage control.
Oh yeah.
Announcing a longer cut, like, almost immediately.
Yeah. And
they also started releasing deleted scenes almost immediately, just to kind of fix what was broken, because they knew.
I feel like this studio tampering thing is getting too far. We're taking this to a whole nother level. Every movie now feels like it's tampered by the studio.
I don't disagree with that.
I mean, if you remember XMen Days of Future Past, which is a phenomenal movie. I don't know how you feel about it. I love that movie. X-Men movies are probably my favorite. The rogue cut of that, in my opinion, should have just stayed in the movie, because it didn't change a whole lot, but it added to it,
It really did add to it, because you've spent all of those movies getting to know Rogue.
Oh yeah, you could say that she's practically the lead of the first X-Men movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And to see that, it was so. Like, the arc was so perfect. Why they cut that? You spend all this time with her through those movies, and then they just cut her out.
And then in the normal version, or the theatrical version, you see one scene of her at the very end. She does a little wave, and then she's gone.
It was so cheesy.
It's kind of like a slap in the face, to be honest with you.
Yeah. No, the Rogue cut is my preferred version of that flick. For sure.
If I was to pick up a Blu-ray, I haven't yet, but if I am to, I'm gonna definitely pick up the Rogue cut. I've seen it once, so. It's not, I wouldn't say leagues better, but it adds, definitely, for sure.
I enjoyed it as a fan. I enjoyed it way better.
Yeah. How'd you feel about Apocalypse? 'Cause I know that's very divisive.
Like, I went into that movie just expecting the worst and was pleasantly surprised by it. I am a huge fan of Oscar Isaac after seeing him in Star Wars Episode 7, as well as Ex Machina. Like, that guy is amazing.
He's a character actor. He can adapt to any role.
I wasn't sold on the character design. I thought that was a little too goofy.
Yeah. Not very imposing.
No, and he was really compared to, like, a Power Rangers villain at one point, and I was like, yeah, I totally see that. But I think he acted through all that, and he really became intimidating and scary. And I thought the younger cast was amazing. Sophie Turner. And, some of the other guys, I can't remember their names right now, but...
Ty Sheridan from
Ty Sheridan, yes, who I just watched in this great movie last night. called The Stanford Prison Experiment.
Oh, I've been meaning to check that out.
Oh my God,
I heard it's riveting. I've heard it's riveting.
Edge of your seat craziness.
I'm sure.
I'm going to be doing a review on that tomorrow.
I'll check it out. Because I've heard nothing but good things about that, but I haven't been able to check it out.
Yes. If you could catch it. I watched it on Showtime, but you could probably catch it on like Amazon Prime or something.
Mm-hmm.
Super, super worth it.
Okay. Do you think they're going to follow up with another X-Men movie after this one?
Yeah, I certainly think so. Obviously, we got the next
cast.
Wolverine coming out.
Oh, yeah.
And that's supposedly going to be Hugh Jackman's last take on the Wolverine character. We'll see. I think also I would love to see another tale with this new young cast now that they're the primary antagonists.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be really great to see like a really cool X-Men film with the solid Cyclops and Jean Grey.
Yep. Because we haven't got that before, to be honest with you.
Rumor has it it's going to be set in the 90s.
Oh, okay. That's very interesting because this one takes place in the 80s, correct?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so okay, we'd be jumping to a more experienced group, right?
Yeah.
I wonder now, though, how, without going too spoilery, how Magneto will play into it, because his character kind of went a bunch of different ways in Apocalypse, so we'll see. I mean, I'm a big fan of Michael Fassbender, so we'll see.
He's pretty cool, man. He's going to be in the next Assassin's Creed movie.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up next.
I can't wait for that, man.
The trailer for that really sold me. I don't have to see anything else. I don't need to read anything else about it. That trailer sold me. As a fan of the games, too, I'm
a big fan of those games as well, so I'm eager to see how this turns out.
The last couple have been kind of spotty, though. Have you played the last couple, like Unity?
I am up to Black Flag. I haven't played past that.
Okay, to be honest with you, Black Flag is where the line stopped for me when I...
And then there's drops?
Yeah, it completely tanks. The last one, I forgot what it's called. Not after Unity, whatever the last one was. It was okay, but it wasn't as good as 2 or Brotherhood or anything like that, you know?
I think they just pump them out too fast. Like, I just can't keep up with them.
Oh, yeah. Now they switched to, like, a bi-yearly thing, but before that, every year we get a new Assassin's Creed game, and it kind of got blown way out there, you know?
It's like trying to keep up with Call of Duty. I mean, it's just too impossible.
Oh, that's another thing. I mean... Call of Duty is a whole nother spectrum of gaming where it just every year we get the same thing now, and it's kind of getting excessive, you know. So are you a fan of like sci-fi video games like Mass Effect and stuff, since you are what you call a geek?
I'm a fan of whatever catches my interest, to be honest. Like, I don't have a certain genre that I stick to. Mm-hmm. It's like I'm always on the hunt for new things and new experiences. So I'm always on the internet tracking down stuff, looking at trailers, reading magazines, whatever I can get my hands on to find that next great title. Mm-hmm. That's what I do.
And that goes for movies and games, everything across the board.
Yes. That's kind of what led me into becoming a YouTube reviewer. Mm-hmm. Is I was literally on the internet hours a day reading movie news.
No kidding.
Watching trailers just for my own entertainment.
Yeah.
And then I started thinking, what do I want to do with my life? Well, I've worked in radio, I've worked in TV, I've worked in film, I've worked for the cable company. Mm-hmm. I just don't want to work for anybody anymore except for myself. And the only thing I'm really into is movies. So how can I turn that into like a business? Mm-hmm. And I was just like, man, I have all this movie knowledge. Why not talk about it on the internet?
And I respect that because I feel the same way. I kind of started out, I was younger, obviously. Now I'm 17 going on 18, but at the time, I was younger, and I always loved talking about movies. I've loved movies ever since I was a little kid. When I saw Phantom Menace, regardless how people feel about it, I remember sitting there, loving every bit of it, and ever since then, it's kind of been like an upward, draw for me. And I remember one day I was just sitting there reading an article, or a review in Entertainment Weekly, one of those mediocre kind of movie reviews that doesn't give much. It feels like sometimes they haven't even seen the movie; they just kind of talk about it. And I was like, I feel like I could do this, right? On a different scale, and then all of a sudden this YouTuber boom kicked up out of nowhere, and now everyone's on it, and you know what? It's a good platform for it, to be honest with you.
I fought it, to be honest, like for years.
Really?
I just didn't understand it. Well, because I'm an older guy. I'm 39, and I just didn't understand the draw. Like, I want to watch my stuff on a TV or in a movie theater. And my son was always, Dad, you got to be checking out YouTube. That's where it's at nowadays. And finally I did. And I'm like, oh, I've wasted all this time. And But you know what? It's never too late. I mean, that's the
Oh
whole
no, definitely not. Definitely not. Anyone can just get into this and jump in. All you don't even need a camera. You can just use like a phone or whatever, you know. Which I find, you know, it's a great platform. You meet great people on here, you know. You talk about movies with them, and it's just all in good fun, you know.
Like I said, I've been having nothing but fun since I started this.
Yeah.
And that's what it should be.
Yeah, I mean, I respect you, like you said, that you do it for a business, but if you lose that fun factor, it's kind of just, you know, it's not good for you anymore, you know? So, when you started this, or even now, are there any goals that you set to progress, you know, further your channel along, or?
You know, I haven't really put much thought into goals. Right now, I just want to make good content. I want to make content that people find interesting, that looks a little different than what's out there. And honestly, I feel like I'm still trying to find my voice. So I've dabbled in kind of what I call the one-off videos, which is just one person with a green screen and a topic. We've tried a few episodes of like the panel show where it's just me and a couple guests. And I actually rented a studio. So that's our base of operations, and I'm just, like I said, I'm just trying to find what the voice is and what people really like, and then we kind of tailor it to that.
Yeah, I could definitely say you're doing a good job.
Thanks.
Yeah, if the audience doesn't know, we found each other on a YouTuber movie review kind of forum, and then we started talking, and now we're doing this, and I love that because, you know, you always hear about like the bigger guys who I like Chris Stuckman, you know, Jeremy Johns and stuff.
Yep.
But then you don't get to hear everyone's voice, you know? And it's interesting hearing what other people have to say, you know, regardless of how small their channel is, how big it is, you know?
I love everybody's opinion, and that's kind of goes into my philosophy of the Geek Abides. It's like my whole kind of tagline is whatever you're into, man, the Geek Abides. It's like your opinion and my opinion might differ on a movie, but we could get together and talk about it and enjoy each other's company, and like, you can open my eyes and I can open yours to all these different types of films. So reaching out and finding that community was so crucial to me.
Yeah, I agree. I was honestly glad because I've met you're a great guy. I've met a bunch of great guys on here. It's just fun talking film, you know. It doesn't necessarily even have to be like this. It's just fun to talk about it with someone, you know.
When you first get into it, it's, in my experience, it was kind of discouraging at first because generally you jump in and you start putting out videos or articles, and really the only people reading or watching is like your family or your friends. And then there's all this excitement at first, and then it slowly goes away. And you're like, hey, now I got to build my real audience.
Yeah, I got to find people that love my content. Yeah.
Right. So I was so happy to find that community and to meet you. You're an awesome dude too.
Thank you. I mean, okay, so let's just talk about the past couple years of film, because I have a very strong opinion about this.
Okay.
I feel like the past couple years of film, we've been seeing nothing but very generic, cookie-cutter movies. Apart from few and far between, we get a movie like Ex Machina, like you said.
Yeah.
Or we get a movie like XMen or Civil War, whatever. Like bigger movies, you know. But for the most part, we get smaller or lower budget, cheap thrill movies that pander to people who don't know a lot or just want to go to the movies to have a good time, you know? So I'm interested to ask you how you feel the film industry has gone from like roughly like 2005, where we had like The Departed and stuff like that, to now.
Oh man, it's been an interesting evolution from 2005 till now. I mean, you've seen Hollywood basically completely change their model from these really great movies to basically pumping out as much superhero stuff as they can. And when that doesn't work, it just seems they want to regurgitate older films and re-up them. They call it the legacy sequel, where they take an old franchise and they kind of reboot it, but it's also a sequel at the same time. Independence Day.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't have the heart and soul. Part of me feels like it's just because of the CG. Like, I'll talk a little bit about this in my BFG review. Like, I thought the BFG was a great flick, but it took me out because it was just completely CG all the way through. And it just didn't have the same weight. The physics don't feel right. and I don't know. It's just they just don't make them like they used to, man.
I agree. Because, like I said, I'm a younger guy, so I didn't grow up in the time with all practical stuff. But, when you see a movie like... Have you seen Green Room?
No.
Okay, well, let me tell you... Well, there's lots of movies like it. It's an independent film, and it's kind of like a thriller, And it's very low budget, but it feels real, It doesn't feel like it's manufactured.
Sure, okay.
And movies like The Purge, regardless of the quality, right? They feel like... they use real props, They use practical sets, They film on the streets with freaking lights, like just street lamps. So it feels like it immerses me in that world. But when you see a movie like Batman versus Superman, and you see Doomsday or whatever that thing is,
it just feels like a cartoon.
Yeah, it totally takes you out of it. If I wanted to watch a cartoon, I would stay at home and watch the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, we're definitely in a different time now, different content. And it's kind of the young adult. Everything is pandered to the young adult audience, in my opinion.
It's interesting that you say that because it just boils down to target demographic.
Yeah.
Like the people going to movies and the people that are paying to see these movies are a younger generation, and that's who they're going to target. Yeah. So we don't get movies for me anymore.
Yeah. But I wish they did because to me, I'm tired of seeing, The Hunger Games is good, right? The Hunger Games is good, the concept is good, but every movie targeted to young adults is like The Hunger Games. We're in this dystopian future, and everything is the same. Maze Runner, we got the Fifth Wave that came out this year. It just overbearing, you know what I'm saying? It's
like the same story just told over and over and over.
Yep. Exactly.
And they just keep throwing it against the wall, hoping that something will stick and make more money.
Yep. And I mean, if you look at the higher grossing movies recently, it's movies like that, It's movies with the big budget, with the massive loads of CGI, like Transformers or TMNT or something like that.
Yeah.
And it just feels like cannon fodder. They throw it out there without care, and it doesn't do anything for anybody, Unless you want to just go watch 3 hours of shit getting blown up, I guess. But other than that, I mean, it's kind of redundant. I didn't even watch.
The sad thing is those films make money, and that's why
people enjoy them and they make money. They get good word of mouth somehow, and people go watch them.
And they're just made for kids, and kids love the big bright explosions, and they love the cartoony look, and that's fine. That's it's just hopefully they'll make movies for us. Come on, guys.
I wish. And, the funny thing is, if you watch a movie like Transformers or TMNT, you take like a 5-minute action scene from one of those, right? And it's impressive, but not 2 hours of it, Where it gets to the point of obscurity and it's absurd and ridiculous. It's in your face and just loud noise, it feels like.
Yeah, that's my big worry about the BFG is it's not a big, loud, in-your-face action movie. Mm-hmm. It's a very poignant story about a man or giant and this little girl and about how their relationship develops, and a lot of the film is just them talking, and so I'm really nervous how that's going to play off with kids. My daughter loved it, and it got an ovation at the end, so I'm hoping that it does really well.
That's interesting that you bring that up, the ovation thing. Now this has been like a growing thing now in movie theaters where people clap, and they talk a lot during movies. So how do you feel about the movie going experience as a whole?
Ooh, that's a touchy subject for me. Like, I am a film purist. I love going to the movies.
I'm with you. There's no other way to do it.
I love that communal experience of being in a film or in a movie theater with people and experiencing it together. But the advent of cell phones and just maybe it's the decline of civilization as we know it, but people have just gotten ruder and ruder, it seems. Yeah. Like I was thinking about it yesterday when we were watching the BFG. We sat down and I look around and everybody's on their cell phone and everyone's got their feet on the back of the seat. I'm just like, not in my movie theater. And that's my goal is one day I'd like to own a movie theater. And
ban all that. Really just get it out of there. Yeah.
I really respect what Alamo Drafthouse does down
there. Yeah. There's no ones out here, but I've seen what they do, and I wish there was, honestly.
Last I heard, they're going to put one up in San Francisco, which is quite a drive for me, but I would check.
Yeah.
I just love the rules that they have, and they put out these PSAs They had this one really fancy PSA that was basically about somebody that got kicked out of their theater for talking and texting.
Mhm.
And they called and left this really vicious voicemail. They put it out as a PSA.
Oh, no
If you're
kidding.
going to do this, don't come to this theater.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious. Is the theater you go to like an AMC, or is it like a big chain like that, or?
Let's see. We have a Regal Cinema,
Mhm.
and then we have kind of a growing chain here that started here in Vancouver, Washington, called Cinetopia.
I've heard of that. Yeah. Okay.
And they're pretty fancy. They have like living room theaters and big, ginormous, gargantuan 70 millimeter film, just ginormous screens, right?
Mhm.
So I typically like to go to Cinetopia, not because of the experience, but because I can buy reserved seating.
Oh, I like that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can get my favorite seat ahead of time and show up just before the movie shows up, and it's just perfect.
Yeah.
And generally, the movie-going experience there is pretty good.
Yeah, I could tell you about this one experience I had. You'll probably find this hilarious. At the time, I was so angry. It's unbelievable. So, I don't know if you've seen it, The Boy. It came out earlier this year.
I haven't seen it yet. It's on my Amazon list, and I'll get to it.
It's a better horror movie than what we've been getting. It's not great, but it's better.
It stars the lady from The Walking Dead,
yeah,
right?
oh, Lauren
Cohan.
Yeah, Lauren Cohan. There you go. And anyway, so I have this thing. Right when the movie previews start, you can kind of tell what you're getting yourself into, you know? Because if someone's still talking, still on their phone during the preview, it's kind of like, okay, this is what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
There's, in the front row, it's a packed house. This is the night it came out. There's a packed house. And in the front row, there's probably like 7 or 8 kids with their mom and their dad, right? Young kids, very young kids.
What a great movie to take your young kids to.
Definitely. And when I watched it, the content was, out there. Another thing, too. Well, we'll talk about this after, but, I saw The Nice Guys. I don't know if you've seen that,
No, we reviewed The Nice Guys. Some of my colleagues did.
Yeah, well, it's a hard R. It's a hard R, and right in front of me was another 4-year-old, 5-year-old kid, And
Isn't that amazing?
The times have changed. But anyway, going back to the boy story, so then the movie starts, right? And then these 3 little girls, or younger girls, run back and forth in front of the movie theater, and people behind me are talking loud, but they're telling these people, like, please, could you sit your kids down? The parents don't care,
Oh.
And the staff doesn't care at the movie theater, they don't do much, so that's kind of just taking it away from me,
I don't really have a whole lot of experiences like that, only because I think the area of the world I live in is actually pretty nice. Like, here in the Northwest, people are just super nice to each other.
Yeah.
And so every once in a while, you get some obnoxious kids. Like, probably the worst experience I ever had, I went to see a movie with my friend, and we were the only people in the theater for a bit, and we were sitting right in the perfect seats, right in the center. And all of a sudden, these 2 teenage kids came in, and they, like, sat on either side of us. Like, sandwiched us. And I'm like, okay. And right as the kid was sitting down, and I'm not a violent guy at all. Like, I'm a super easygoing guy. I just leaned over to him and said, if you're going to sit there, I'm going to punch you in the face.
Oh, my goodness. I don't blame you, though. I don't blame you at all.
And I wouldn't have. Obviously, I wouldn't have hurt the kid, but I was just trying to make a point. And he looked at his buddy, and he got up, and they split, and they never came back.
Yeah.
Why? Why?
If
do that?
If you go to the movies, right, you should be there. You should respect the other people in the theater, and you should come to enjoy it.
Yeah, because that's whole part of the communal experience.
Yeah.
When you have the perfect movie experience and everybody's into it, and like my experience with The Conjuring was like that. Everybody was on the edge of their seats, and the jumps all came at the same time, and that is when movie going is at its best.
Yeah, when you get moments like that, that's when it feels good. That happened to me during The Shallows. Yeah. It was a perfect storm of a movie theater. There's nothing wrong. Small little movie theater, had a great time, and everyone was on the edge of their seat, like you said, and it was just a fun experience. But that doesn't.
I actually went to The Shallows by myself, and I sat down, and these like a mom and her 2 little kids sat right in front of me. And we're talking little, like probably 5 years old.
Yeah.
6 years old maybe, and I was just like, wow. And it's not like this movie was super scary, but there was a little gore.
Yeah, for sure. It gets to a point in the movie where I kind of was like, oh my gosh, it's really graphic at some points, and
yeah.
But that's been happening more and more lately. more and more.
But then I think back about me and when I was a kid and the type of movies I was watching when nobody was around.
Yeah, I mean,
and I was like, I could handle it. So these kids got to be okay.
But then you get those parents that take their kids to a movie like Deadpool, per se, right?
Yes.
And you go on websites and you read reviews and you see these moms and dads trashing on Deadpool because it's a superhero movie. But that's the purpose of the character, you know?
I was walking out of the movie theater yesterday, leaving the mall, and this little girl, she had to be like 3 years old, saw my shirt, and I was wearing a Deadpool t-shirt, and she just looked up and was like, Deadpool!
Oh my gosh.
It's like, how do you know?
How do you know?
Either you're the coolest parents in the world or the worst parents.
Yeah, I mean, but there's another experience I have. I don't know why this happens to me. It feels like it only happens to me and my friends, but we went to go watch The Boy Next Door, which is not a good movie, right? It's a very graphic, rated R, J-Lo movie about, you know, it's called erotica thriller, you know, along the lines of like Fatal Attraction or Basic Instinct. And we were sitting there, and this probably mother, right, with her 6-year-old son walk in, and he says, I hear him audibly say, Mom, this movie is rated R. And she goes, it's okay.
Wow.
And then the movie starts, and she gets up. She physically gets up and says, what is going on? I don't like what's happening. And she goes outside and she complains, and we can hear her. And it's like...
She's complaining to the manager of the movie theater about the movie she purchased tickets to?
Exactly. It's kind of like, you should know what you're getting yourself into. If your son knows what you're getting into, then you should know, you know?
You gotta do a little research before you take the kid.
Yeah. I feel so strongly about that. I cannot agree with you more. Times have changed, like you said. I mean, It's unbelievable. So with the advent of the comic book movie, and since you are the Geek Abides, what is the quintessential comic book movie or movies?
Oh, man, that's a hard choice. I'm a huge fan of The Dark Knight.
Gotta be, yeah, of course.
I mean, that's probably one of my favorite all-time superhero movies.
That's one of my favorite all-time movies. I mean, it's a fantastic movie.
It's so good. Mm-hmm. Also, I'm a big fan of... God, I know... Obviously, I love Batman, and I want to say the Michael Keaton, Tim Burton Batman.
The first two, yeah.
Because when that movie came out, that was the first time I'd ever experienced that kind of movie hype ever. Mm. And I was in 6th grade, and it was crazy, the mania that developed over Batman. And now as an adult looking back, I don't even think the movie is all that great. But I have just such a soft spot for it because of the time and where I was in my life. And somebody is shooting fireworks off over my house. I love it.
Same.
God bless America.
Yep. 2 more days and it's going.
I always say, like, the 4th of July is really the closest America will ever get to having the real purge.
Oh, my gosh. The new Purge, I know you haven't seen it yet, but it scares me in a sense because it feels so possible when you're watching it. You see the characters and you're like, that could happen. There's people like that out there, you know? It couldn't hit more close to home. I think that's why I enjoyed it so much. I don't know.
I'm also a big fan of Kick-Ass. Like that.
I love Kick-Ass. Yeah.
It's not like your traditional superhero movie, but it was just so well made and it was so funny and unique at the same time.
Yeah.
I thought that movie was pretty good.
How do you feel about the second Kick-Ass?
I was disappointed. I just didn't have the same flavor. It felt like it was made just to capitalize on the success of the first one. And I don't even think it was directed by the same guy.
It's not. I highly doubt that it is. Matthew Vaughn directed the first one. Yeah.
And then X-Men First Class, when they rebooted, in a sense, it's not really a reboot, but X-Men First Class, and when they relaunched the X-Men franchise with that, man, so good.
The newer X-Men movies have been fantastic. They, like I said, even Apocalypse. I'm a big fan of X-Men. Apocalypse was kind of like you said, kind of a letdown in comparison to the other two, but they're near perfect movies, you know. But Apocalypse wasn't bad, you know. I had a good time watching it. It was a fun, enjoyable movie, you know. And
I don't disagree. I thought they were fantastic.
Yeah.
The original, like the trilogy, the original trilogy X-Men. I wasn't a fan of the first one. I just didn't get it. I didn't like the leather suits. The cast was fine. And then X2 really was like, oh wow.
Yeah, everyone talks about X2 as like the big one that started the whole superhero. Yeah.
And then obviously X3 shit the bed. In my opinion, that was so terrible. And then X-Men Origins. Oh,
that's even worse than
man.
that. To me, watching X-Men Last Stand is like watching The Dark Knight compared to watching X-Men Origins. It's a horrible movie. Horrible.
It gets me so irritated because it's just some suit in an office building somewhere that thinks they know how to make a movie better than the fan or the director.
Yeah.
And they're like, they give all these studio notes and then they just completely ruin the movie.
Yeah. It's funny, I don't know if you've seen this, but there is literally a behind-the-scenes video from 2008, before the movie came out, of this studio head saying, it's a woman, and she's saying that we have a unique spin on the Deadpool character. And there's memes all over the place of it, and I just was so blown away, because I didn't see it till recently. Well, I think I saw it when I was younger, but I don't remember much from it, but I didn't see it in its full experience till recently. I was just shocked. I didn't think it could be as bad as people were making it out to be, but it is. It's really awful.
Oh, man. I just remember sitting in the movie theater with my head in my hands going, why?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much potential.
Mm-hmm.
And the perfect example of that is just watching what Marvel does with their films. They're so masterful.
Yeah, completely.
They plan them so far in advance that they all tie together in kind of a unique way. And then you've got like all the other superhero movies that are just scrambling and trying to keep up with Marvel, and they just don't know how. So what do? They like, fuck it, let's just give all the rights back to Marvel.
Yeah, well, like we're seeing with SpiderMan now.
Right.
The past two Amazing SpiderMan movies were not great. The first one was okay, but the second one was just, it shit the bed. Like they didn't know what to do. They're trying to set up a whole universe. It didn't work out at all, you know?
Now I'm reading rumors that they might be in negotiation to bring the X-Men into the
No kidding.
I don't know if it's true or not, but I've seen that rumor online the last few days.
I would hope so. That'd be really interesting to see. It'd be different, but it'd be interesting, you know?
I'd watch it.
Yeah. I'd be there day one. Now, this is an interesting thing to talk about, because I've talked about this with different people. Is there ever like a moment, right, when you watch a movie and you walk out of it saying, "Oh, that was good," or on the opposite side, "That was bad, that was awful," and then you change your opinion later on? Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, it's happened to me. I mean, I guess most recently, and I already said it, was with Batman vs. Superman.
Mm-hmm.
I hated the theatrical cut, and then just watching the director's cut, it's just like, wow, now I get it. Mm-hmm. It's still not a great film, but it makes way more sense. Yeah. Let's see, another movie that I really hated. Gosh, it's really tough because I don't care if movies are bad. Honestly, like, I love them anyway.
Yeah, it's the experience, like you said.
It's the experience, yeah. Man, I just can't think of one that comes to my head right now. Let me think. Movie that I hated. Nah, nothing's coming to my head. I'm sorry.
It's all good. I could tell you, for me, the first Purge movie, I walked into it. If you don't know, which you probably don't, but my channel started with a Purge reaction video.
Oh, right on.
And it got, like, me being young, 13-year-old, 3,000 views, and I was like, holy crap, I'm going to be famous. You know, I freaked out, and day one, I went to go watch The Purge, and I walked out and said, oh, I love that. And then I thought about it for like 2-3 hours, and I was like, what am I going to say? Because my whole channel is built off of this, and I didn't like it, you know? But now the Purge series has gone in a different direction completely, and
I didn't like the first Purge, and then I watched the second one, and I was like, this is what a Punisher movie should be like.
Frank Grillo is awesome. I love Frank Grillo.
He should be the Punisher.
Yeah.
Although I think the guy that they played...
John Bernthal.
Yeah, I thought he did a great job, too.
Yeah, I haven't seen the new season of Daredevil yet, sadly. I don't have the time, but everyone's telling me it's awesome. Yeah.
There's so much good stuff. It's hard to find the time.
It's so hard to keep up with everything, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you feel about Frank Grillo in Captain America?
I thought he was pretty good. It was really interesting because I saw... I think I saw Captain America, the Winter Soldier first, And then I saw The Purge 2, and I'm like, hey, this guy's kind of interesting.
Yeah, because he was kind of a smaller actor before that. I never seen him much, before that.
He's really intimidating. He's got a great look, and he's got some acting chops.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see him in more stuff.
Yeah. Without spoiling it, because Civil War is still a relatively new movie, I was kind of upset where they took the character. I thought, room to grow, but you know what? Maybe, hopefully in the future, we could somehow see a Punisher something, Hopefully.
Maybe someday down the road he could be the Punisher.
Yeah.
I think he would be the perfect Punisher.
Yeah. How'd you feel about the previous 2 Punisher movies?
Oh, they're garbage.
Both of them?
I like the one with Thomas Jane.
The first one, yeah.
But I don't like the theatrical version. I like the director's cut they put out.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, that's really good. You should pick that up. And I'm just a Thomas Jane fan. I thought he did great. I'm not a stickler for the character because I didn't grow up reading the comics, so I don't really know much about his story arc in the comics. I just know what I like in the movie.
Yeah.
And I thought he did better than Ray Stevens in the Warzone Punisher.
Yeah. Which was awesome. Was awful. It was awful.
It was so bad.
It was awful. It felt like a direct-to-video movie. Honestly,
it gets so much love though sometimes.
Yeah, I know. I've seen people argue that Warzone is the superior movie to the first Punisher.
I don't believe it. No.
Neither do I.
And I've never seen the Dolph Lundgren version.
No, I've heard worse things, so I wouldn't go for it. So, are there any movies that you find like as guilty pleasures? Like you're not ashamed to admit it, but you know what, you liked it,
Anybody who knows me knows that I'm a huge horror movie fiend, like 80s slasher movies. So anything Freddy, Jason, or Michael Myers, or Leatherface. I love the big 4. I'm also a big sucker for the Highlander movies, even though
the direct-to-video ones.
Yeah. Even though each sequel is progressively worse. And they've been in like talks of doing a reboot for the last 5 years. It's just been in development hell forever. But anything Highlander, I can get my hands on. Whatever new cut they put out of it, whatever new box they put out, I gotta get it. I own like Russian versions of the movie.
Oh my goodness!
I've got the anime version of it. I collect the action figures. I'm a Highlander nut.
Yeah. See, your guilty pleasures aren't as bad as mine, honestly, because for me, the most guilty one is Magic Mike. Honestly.
Oh.
I find that both the Magic Mike movies are really fucking good. And just a shame that they're about male strippers,
Whatever you're into, man.
I mean,
judge you.
As a straight male, I can honestly say that I really love both Magic Mike movies. I don't know what about them draws me in.
I checked out the first one just out of curiosity. I haven't seen the second one yet, but I would. And I thought the first one was surprisingly well made.
Yeah, no, that same. I was dragged to it on a date. At the time, I snuck into it, and I was dreading the film because all the trailers for it were just Channing Tatum's butt,
Right.
And it starts out with Channing Tatum's butt. The first 2 seconds, I was like, okay,
here we go.
But then you find it's like a character piece, It's literally a character piece.
It's like the Rocky version of male nude dancing.
Exactly.
It's like you wouldn't believe it's going to be good, and then it just blows your friggin' mind.
Maybe that's why I like it so much, because I just had such low expectations for it that it was just wow, Steven Soderbergh, you can't really go wrong. When I found he was the director, I was like, oh my goodness, okay, that makes sense now.
Yeah.
And the second one
he just needs a paycheck, but he actually put together a pretty good flick.
Yeah, the second one is, in my opinion, a superior film, so I would recommend it to you.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's not the same kind of movie. The first one is more of a drama. The second one is more of a buddy road trip movie, and it feels like it was more geared toward men than the first one was. So
yeah,
I don't know. And American Pie. I love American Pie.
Oh yeah, those are classics. Yeah. Those are like the Porkies of the '90s.
They're hilarious. Even the reunion, the American reunion was okay. It was okay. It was passable.
I've enjoyed each one. I mean, they progressively get worse.
Yeah, American Wedding is kind of tanky.
But I enjoyed each one. I've never seen like the direct-to-video ones though.
They're not good. They're not good. Yeah. I mean, that's another thing. We have so many direct-to-video movies starring big-name actors.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard about this movie. It's called Marauders. Marauders, I think.
Marauders?
Yeah. And
rings a bell.
There's Bruce Willis in it, The guy from Law & Order SVU and Man of Steel, We got Dave Bautista from the WWE. and we got Adrian Grenier. So it's kind of like, what? How's
Okay, yes, I have
yeah,
seen.
but it's just shocking how these movies happen. You know, I don't understand how this could happen. Do they go in with the intent to film them, to release them to theaters, or do they go in with the intent this is going to be a direct-to-video thing, you know?
I couldn't answer that with any like certainty, but
Yeah.
my feeling is that these guys just need a paycheck.
Yeah,
and
they just take it. They'll just take it.
the paycheck probably takes most of the budget, and they don't have enough money to release it, so they just kind of hope to put it out on video, and it makes its money back.
And sometimes the reverse happens, where it's like it's supposed to be a direct-to-video movie, and then we get it in the theaters, and it's kind of just like...
That just happened with The Cell.
Oh my god, I've heard such awful things about that.
Oh, it's bad. I just reviewed it.
Yeah, I saw your review. I was going to go watch it, to be honest with you, and you made me dodge a bullet.
I am a huge Stephen King nerd. Like, I've read probably 90% of the books. I won't claim to have read them all, but I've read a lot of his stuff. Grew up just loving it. Watched just about every film version you could think of. And so I was excited because I've read Cell. Cell's a pretty good book.
The concept is interesting. The concept is really interesting.
And it's just like they took the story and it was like, okay, well, we're just going to base it on that. I'm not even going to follow it closely. Who gives a shit? No one's going to see this movie anyway.
Yeah. We got two good actors in it, so we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, and then they give these two actors nothing to do. Like, literally have nothing to do.
Yeah, stuff like that happens so often now, though, you know? I saw Transporter Refueled a year ago, and it has I forget his name. I'm drawing a blank on his name now, but Ajax from Deadpool is in it.
Yep.
And I think he's a great actor. I saw him on Game of Thrones. I see him in Deadpool, and he's great. They just give him nothing to do at all, and it pisses me off because we have good actors, right? We have lots of good actors, and we give them shitty movies, and they take them, and I'm just like, oh my god, no, you know. And now my big worry is these reshoot debacles that keep on happening now. Every movie feels like it's reshot now. That's what my big worry for Suicide Squad.
Movies aren't made by artists very much anymore. They're made by committee.
Yeah.
And so you get look at the Josh Trank Fantastic Four. I mean,
oh my gosh,
so bad.
That was honestly, I'm not a huge fan of Fantastic Four. That was abysmal. That honestly offended me.
And but I hear there's a version of the movie out there that's actually pretty good that he originally made.
But we'll never get to see it.
Never get to see it. Well, maybe we'll see it.
Hopefully, one day. I would love to.
There's this interesting version of The Exorcist 4, where they made The Exorcist 4 with Paul Schrader, who's famous for writing Taxi Driver and all these other really great movies. And he's a great director, and he wrote and directed a version of The Exorcist. I can't remember the subtitle, but it's really the fourth movie.
Okay.
And they didn't release it. They were like, this movie's shit, you're fired. They brought in Rennie Harlan to shoot it again to try to save it. And he's like, we can't save this. We're just going to use the same actors and reshoot the whole movie. And they released that version called Exorcist: The Beginning.
Oh, I've seen that. I've seen that, actually.
Yeah.
So that's the amalgamation of it. That's awful.
And then they were like, they realized it was bad, and then they put out the Schrader version to try to kind of like, well, let's try to make some money back. That movie, even though it's still dog crap, it's like light years better. It's called Dominion, prequel to The Exorcist.
I've heard about that. I've never seen it, though.
Yeah. It's an interesting, like, if you ever want to sit down and, like, study how film is made, that's an interesting watch, to watch those back-to-back.
Oh, okay.
Basically the same script. It's basically the same actors, maybe a few changes here and there. But one is light years better than the other, even though they're both bad.
Yeah, this happens a lot with horror movies, though. We get different written scripts of it, completely different. Since you're a big fan of Halloween, I'm sure you know, the one with Paul Rudd, I don't remember, it's 5 or 4?
6.
6, okay. There's a version of it out there somewhere that some people have claimed to have seen that's supposed to be amazing, you know?
Yeah, the producer's cut.
Yeah.
It's not amazing, but it is.
Is it better?
It's an improvement, but it's not amazing. Like, it's still kind of scratches your head. They just released it, actually.
Oh, really?
If you buy the Halloween box set, which the newest version, they have both versions on there. They have the theatrical version and the producer's cut. And it's a completely different experience.
Is it a completely different movie, or is it just the script changes, or?
It's a whole different movie. It's got different subplots and whole completely different scenes that it's really hard to explain. I wouldn't want to spoil it for you.
Yeah, I'll definitely go check it out because I went on like a Halloween movie purge basically.
Yeah.
I saw all the Halloween movies, even the Curse of the Witch or whatever the third one was.
Yeah, part 3
has nothing to do with anything, but I saw that one too, and the Rob Zombie ones. Yeah, there we go. And you know what? The Paul Rudd one was the one I was looking forward to because I love Paul Rudd, and it wasn't good. It wasn't
early
good.
Paul Rudd. Too.
Yeah, really young Paul Rudd. Really young Paul Rudd. He's a good actor. He does a lot of good stuff, but he was not good in that movie. I don't know if it's the script or what. Didn't do anything for me.
Well, it's better than Resurrection. Halloween Resurrection with like.
Is that the one with the house? They filmed the show in the house.
It's like they're
Oh my goodness! I laughed my whole way through. That was a good time. It was so bad it's good, you know.
I remember seeing that movie in the theater, and I was so sad it was so bad.
I feel bad for you, to be honest with you.
I downloaded the movie illegally, and it had a completely different beginning.
Oh really?
Yeah, I was like, "What am I?" It was like a work print. It was
wow,
good.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it was like it started off with home movies of a young Michael Myers playing in like the backyard.
Oh, wow.
It was so interesting. I'm like, why would you cut that? It was so cool.
If I remember correctly, it opens with oh my god, Jamie Lee Curtis, right? The whole asylum scene. Is that what it opens with? Oh, that's so different. That's drastically different. That's insane.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just interesting, though. You know, I love different versions of movies, so I'm always on the hunt for that.
Yeah.
Like, if they put out a movie and then I hear there's going to be a director's cut, I have to see it.
Yeah. Like Watchmen, you know. Great movie. Great movie, standalone for me, but the director's cut is light years different.
It's like Aliens and James Cameron's director's cut of Aliens. Both great films.
I haven't seen that. I haven't seen the director's cut of that.
Oh, yeah. Way better.
No way. Because Aliens is considered one of the greatest, action movies of all time.
I'm going to go see it on 70mm in town on the 12th. I cannot.
No kidding. I wish I could be there because that's really interesting. That's really interesting. All right, so we're getting near the end of this, so we're going to play a quick buy or sell with you. If you don't know how it works, do you know how it works, or do I need to explain it?
Absolutely, I know it.
Okay, cool. So let's just jump right into it. Michael Fassbender or James McAvoy?
I am going to buy Fassbender and sell McAvoy.
I'm with you there. Nolan or Fincher?
Ooh, dude, that's tough.
Yeah. I made these before the show. I was like, I'm gonna get him with
this. That's Sophie's choice.
Yeah.
Oh man. Honestly, I'm gonna buy Fincher and sell Nolan, but that's a real tough decision.
Is for any particular movie or reason, or?
I've known Fincher longer, and I really dig like the dark. I just like the darkness he brings.
Dark cerebral shit.
Seven.
Yeah, great movie.
Man, I just love it. Mm-hmm. And his version of Alien 3, like the work print of his film, is really great. Like the theatrical cut's terrible.
Yeah, which I've seen.
Fincher's
not good.
Print,
yeah.
So good.
Okay, what about since you're an '80s guy, TMNT or Transformers?
Are we talking cartoon versions, or are we talking the film versions?
We can do both. Let's start with the cartoon. The 90s and 80s cartoons.
Okay, so for the cartoon versions, I would go Transformers over Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I was I loved them both, but Transformers was my thing. Mm-hmm. And for the movie versions, I would swap it. Like I would much rather watch a turtle film over a Transformer like live action film.
Yeah.
Anything.
3 hours of Michael Bay.
Oh my god, that guy's awful.
But
he completely ruined that franchise.
But did you see? Oh my gosh, 13 Hours.
Don't know if I've seen that one.
It's like the Benghazi story, directed by Michael Bay.
It's on my Amazon list.
It's actually good. It's actually good. And I don't know, have you seen Pain and Gain, or do you know anything about that?
I know that it stars Mark Wahlberg and The Rock.
Yeah. That's actually okay too. It's not as bad as people make it out to be. So Michael Bay.
I tend to avoid Michael Bay movies.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
So if you say they're good, I'll check them out.
Every once in a blue moon, you get a good one. Pain and Gain is okay, but 13 Hours is definitely a good movie.
I'll check that out.
Yeah, okay. What about Marvel or DC? I see you wearing the Batman shirt, but I'm curious.
Honestly, I am wearing a DC shirt, but I lean more towards Marvel.
Is it because of the movies or the comic books or the characters or?
I think it's just what they've accomplished with their films franchise.
Oh, yeah.
It's never been done before, and that shared universe is
amazing.
It's amazing, yeah.
There's no other way. There's no other way to describe it.
I have hope for DC. Like I think they can turn it around.
I hope so.
Learn from their mistakes and then grow from there.
I hope with Suicide Squad we get like a. That's my most anticipated movie right now. So I'm hoping.
Me too,
you know, I'm really hoping. All right, what about Deadpool versus X-Men Apocalypse? Because I've heard a lot of people say different things.
I'm gonna buy Deadpool and sell Apocalypse, only because Deadpool I have never seen anything like it.
There's nothing like it.
And Apocalypse, even though it was good, it's like the 7th or 8th in the series. Yeah. So it's like, okay, we've kind of seen most of that before. So Deadpool all the way, man.
Okay. How about Arnold or Stallone?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Yeah. Holy shit, that's really tough.
Yeah, because you can look at their whole cinematography or filmography. The newer stuff is, meh, but the older stuff, they're all good. Most.
Gotta weigh it on the tentpole franchises, right? So Stallone's got Rocky, he's got Rambo, and then what else?
I mean, you could say Expendables, but that's kind of a shared thing, I guess.
Yeah,
and it's not as good, obviously.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't really do much for me.
Yeah, but we got a lot of Stallone one-off movies that are good. Yeah, Schwarzenegger is a whole different ballpark.
Dude, he's got Conan, he's got the Terminator, Last Action Hero. That movie's terrible. I don't know why I said it.
I was gonna say Last Stand for a second.
Commando, dude, the guy's.
Don't forget Predator. Yeah. Okay. What about this? This is gonna be the final one. This is a big one. I don't know. Maybe for you it won't be, but for me it was kind of tough to figure out in my head. Star Wars versus Star Trek.
That's not hard at all. Star Wars.
There you go. You're my man.
Star Wars all the way.
Yeah.
I was born in '77, man. I mean.
Okay, so you're
born when Star Wars was released.
All right. What about? How do you feel about the new Star Trek movies, though?
I don't mind them for what they are. I thought the first one, the rebooted timeline, was pretty entertaining. I love the new cast, and I liked how they had the Spock Prime.
That was interesting, the way they did that.
Yeah, and I didn't even mind Into Darkness. I thought that was pretty good. It got a lot of flack for...
Khan. Or
Khan, which is like, okay, I didn't mind it, though.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the new one. I think it looks more like the original TV series than anything they've ever produced.
Oh, yeah.
And, new director. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, director of Fast and the Furious, so hopefully we get some good action in there.
But I am a Star Wars fan. I mean...
All 7 or just the older stuff in 7?
I'm an original trilogy guy. I saw Return of the Jedi in the theater.
I wish I could.
That's opening week it came out. My room was Star Wars everything.
Yeah.
It's about every toy you could think of Star Wars wise. The prequels, they hurt for me.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You saw them at a different age, which is interesting. And because you probably grew up on those and have a place in your heart for them, whereas I was just completely let down by them. I thought the third one was probably the best of that trilogy.
I agree.
And when I watched them, I still watch them. I don't pretend they don't exist, but I watch them in a particular order. I like to watch it episode 4, and episode 5, and then I like to watch episode 2 and 3. And then episode 6.
That's interesting. You just totally skip 1, though.
I don't watch 1, no. I try not to.
Do you think...
But I would if I had to.
Do you think Phantom Menace is a worse film than Clone Wars?
I think it's... I don't think it's worse. I think Clone Wars is probably the worst of the bunch. Or Attack of the Clones, you mean?
Oh, Attack of the Clones. Clone Wars is the animated thing, yeah.
Right. I think Attack of the Clones is probably the worst of the bunch. But... Phantom Menace was just so long and boring.
Yeah, it's a really dull movie. It's a dull movie.
And it was just Jar Jar. I mean, he just kills it.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember the first time I didn't like a movie, to be honest with you, was Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
I was young. I was very young at the time, but I remember walking out of it feeling what happened? Because my dad is a huge Star Wars and Star Trek fan. He raised me on the first 3 Star Wars movies, you know.
Good man.
Yeah, okay. So Phantom Menace, I was too young to remember, of course. But when I saw it, it was cool, you know. I didn't understand much, but the Darth Maul is cool, you know. So that was enough for me. But when I saw Attack of the Clones, there was something not right for me with it, you know.
Yeah, well, that's how I feel about all of them. You know, there's just something not right, and it really just kind of boils down to a very powerful guy with a lot of ideas, surrounded by a bunch of yes men that can't tell him no.
Yeah, I mean,
whereas the first one was more, or the first trilogy was more of a collaborative effort with a variety of directors and writers. The prequel trilogy was done by George, and he was doing it his way or no way, and you see what we get.
Yeah. I mean, Revenge of the Sith is not awful. As a Star Wars movie, it's not good, but you could see the potential that they had with that movie. It's kind of really upsetting because that could have been awesome. That could have been a fantastic movie. It could have been phenomenal, you know?
I think there's so many wonderful fan cuts out there to be explored that have taken the trilogy, the original or the prequel trilogy, and cut them down to one film.
Oh, really?
Some of them are pretty good.
Really? I need to look into that. That sounds interesting. How'd you feel about Force Awakens? Because I know that's very divisive as well.
Oh, I loved it. I felt it was a return to
A New Hope.
Classic style of the original trilogy with, you know, updated computer graphics and some new faces. Yeah. I thought it was a great start, and I would have loved to have seen a little bit more Luke. I thought that was a bait and switch. But
the ending was a bit upsetting for me, to be honest with you. I was waiting for just one line. Just give me one line. Nope. Nothing.
Yeah, one line at least.
And it's even more upsetting because they do this thing now in movies where they put like clips or lines in the trailer that aren't in the movie. You know, because when we first saw that Star Wars trailer, there was a whole monologue by Luke in it.
Right.
And then it wasn't in the movie. It was kind of just like, what happened? You know. But I'm interested.
Yeah, I remember.
I'm interested to see where it goes from here, though. You know,
yeah,
we could spend a whole other episode of this talking about where
I could talk Star Wars for days, dude.
Yeah, we should do it. We should do it another time before episode 8 comes out. Yeah. All right, so thank you, Rob, for coming on. I had a great time. It's good talking movies with you. You know, I hope you had a good time as well.
I did, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
No problem. So, this is Rob from the Geek Abides. Is there anything you want to plug right now?
Just check out thegeekabides.com. Hit us up on YouTube. Like, share, and subscribe. That's all we ask.
Yeah, and thank you, Rob, for coming on once again. I had a great time. You're a great guy to talk to. Hopefully we can do one more of these or 2 more of these. However many more, you know, we can do it eventually at some other point. But this was a good time. Thank you for coming on.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you.
All right. Later, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like, favorite, and subscribe below. I'm Michael Chu saying peace, guys. Later. All right.